Welcome back to the Wiser Together series. My name is Shane, and I want to thank you for joining us. In this next session, titled The Heart of Community, we'll be learning about the role relationships play in the guarding, healing, and transforming of our hearts. In the first couple years of my faith, I was taught all the basic Christian truths, and then I learned how to adopt a lifestyle of service. But after learning right and wrong and striving my hardest to do what was right and avoid what was wrong, something was still missing. I was not experiencing those fruits of the Spirit as the book of Galatians calls them. Love, joy, peace, and patience were not coming naturally even after being a Christian for several years. This is when I began to learn about the role relationships play in healing and mending the heart. This led to the most powerful life change I've experienced. I'm super excited for us to dive into this subject matter in particular. But before we do, let me just stop and say, great job to all of you for making this group a priority, for showing up, and for helping wherever you can. Serving others is one of God's purposes for our lives. 1 Corinthians 12:7 says that God gives every believer spiritual gifts for the common good of the body. So the only question is not if, but where and when you'll play an active role in the work of your group. Clearly, there are certain tasks that have to be distributed amongst the group. Someone has to plan, to communicate, to open their place, to facilitate, to pray, and on the list goes. All of these require service. However, the primary place your spiritual gifts will get used are none of these. It's every interaction throughout your group's time of sharing and discussion and prayer. It's the small group where the gifts show up strongest. Teachers discuss the scripture and give insight. Shepherds help others grow. Intercessors pray for their group members. Encouragers speak into others and build them up. Those with wisdom give wisdom. Leaders challenge appropriately. Whatever your gift, have you considered the impact of your gifting upon others in a group context? Small group is a great environment for you to serve others, to build up the church with your gifts, and to be a part of the discipleship process of others. So today, as you engage with the group, prayerfully ask God, how can I be used by you in this context? You might be surprised at what you'll discover. With that in mind, let's take out our guides and a pen as Bill teaches about the role of your group as a safe place for the heart.
Over the decades, I've had the privilege of being in lots of small groups, probably 25 or 30 of them if I were to count every expression of the groups that I've been in. Almost all of them have been really great experiences. Some were just off the charts great. So I've had a lot of experience with these groups. I've only ever dropped out of one group, and it was for a reason that we're going to be talking about in this session. It was a group of Christian guys, and we formed to study the Bible, which is a good thing, you know. And yet in the studying of the Bible, there would often come a point where near the end of the group, I was hoping we could say, okay, we're done with the study. How are you doing? How's things at home? How's things at work? How are you doing inside? And the guys in the group did not want to go there. They were fine studying the scriptures. They were fine as long as we stayed on the logic level and the head level. The minute I tried to bring it down a little bit into a heart level or talk about emotional matters or inner world kinds of things, didn't work. And I took a couple risks, actually, to try to maybe pave the way a little bit and say how I was doing. No response whatsoever. And I finally realized after several months, that's really not the kind of group I want to be a part of. So I completed the agreed upon curriculum. I didn't want to be a quitter. But when we got to the end of that and they wanted to do another study, I said, hey guys, this is fitting you well. This isn't fitting what I need. I mean, I live in the world of facts. I live in leadership land with strategy and metrics and a lot of that. When I'm in a group, I certainly want to grow spiritually, but I also want something to happen in my heart. And so they said, hey, great, see you later. We won't miss you. But every group I've been in since then, I've made sure at the outset that we were going to involve not just some head learning, but there was going to be some heart-opening kinds of opportunities in the group. And that's what we're going to be talking to you about in this session. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Now, I don't know about you, but when I encounter a phrase in the Bible like "above all else," I sit up and take notice. This only happens a couple of times in Scripture. This is like God's yellow highlighter screaming for us to pay super close attention. It does not say above most other stuff. It doesn't say that the second most important thing is. It says above everything else. Your top priority is to what? Is to guard the heart. Okay, why? Because every single thing you do will flow out of it. So you ask, what is the heart? What is this most important part of who you are that affects every other single thing you do? Let's just make sure we understand exactly what the Bible is referencing when it talks about your heart. In your guides, you will find nearly every word in the Bible used to describe the heart. It will only take a moment to notice all of this is the language of emotion. It's not a matter of talk and action or logic. The heart is largely about emotion. The only non-emotion words used in the Bible to describe the heart have to do with hidden things, character, plans, secrets, intentions, or beliefs. Anything that is deep down inside a person that we could not readily observe from watching them is considered to be in their heart. To summarize the Bible's use of the word heart, we can say this with great confidence. The heart is the center of emotion, affection, and intention. This is good and bad news for us. This is good news because it tells us that we are more than facts, more than logic, more than just behaviors. We're not robots or computers. The bad news is that changing one's heart is not as simple as fixing a broken machine or correcting the logic of some software. Jesus says that our actions actually flow out of what's stored up in our hearts. This means that we can't just apply an outside-in solution to inside-out problems. We have to be very attentive to the healing and transformation of our hearts. We cannot be those who never tend the soil of their own interior, those who never look deeply at our own emotional or psychological needs or issues. We can't leave that whole part of the inside of our life unattended. This week's session is all about learning to become a group that focuses on the issues of the heart. How do we do that, you ask? The first place we need to start is in learning to do a weekly check-in. We touched on this a little bit in week 1, but now we're going to get into the details of how this works. A check-in is a part of your group gathering that gives everyone a chance to share at a heart level. As we've already seen, if you're sharing what is going on in your heart, you're going to have to share what emotions you have been feeling. After all, that's what the heart does. It feels. One simple and effective check-in is called highs and lows. In this, each group member shares their high and their low since the last time they met, no matter how insignificant it may seem to the others in the group. For example, Chad's low might be how he said something hurtful to his wife the night before. His high might be watching his 7-year-old son get on base at the Little League game the previous weekend. Now, you may think that this high and low exercise is just kind of elementary. I was in a small group for many, many years that met on a Sunday night, and we just did high and low conversations pretty much every Sunday night for many, many years, and we never got tired of it. Now, sometimes people's highs wouldn't be all that high and their lows wouldn't be all that low, but boy, there were many, many weeks where the sharing of someone's high brought raucous laughter and celebration, and the sharing of someone's low just brought tears and heartbreak to everyone around the table. You learn how to do this little high and low exercise, it can really be enriching for everybody in the group. Another method is to use a great question each week to enable sharing. Around Father's Day, my group went around and everyone shared the gift that they received from their father and maybe the gifts that they did not receive from their father. It's just unbelievable what came out. There are books and websites where you can get hundreds of conversation starters. Utilize small group materials from time to time as they have great questions built into them. So what should you do when someone else is sharing? Your job at that point is primarily to create a safe place for honesty. You should think of a small group as the container for the heart. It's such a fortress of safety that everyone's hearts can come out of hiding when they gather. How? The primary factors of creating a safe place for the heart are to do with these things when someone shares. First, refrain from snap judgments. Second, listen well. Most of the time, if you want to be helpful, you don't have to say anything. Just sit with someone. Some counselors call this the gift of presence. I've been a pastor for a long time now. When someone is sharing heart stuff, I've learned that 90% of what they need from me is for me to simply listen and show that I care by being present with them. Next, maintain eye contact. If someone is sharing and you're staring off into space, they can only think one thing. You don't care. Don't let your eyes drift. I knew a guy, and we met together for many, many years. He was one of the best listeners that I've ever known. He would often drink like a Diet Coke when I was having conversations with him. And he was such a great listener that if I was in the middle of a sentence and he was finishing his Diet Coke, he would continue to look at me through the bottom of the glass of Coke so that he wouldn't just break eye contact. I've never forgotten that. When I talked to him, I felt like I was the only person on planet Earth, and it made me want to kind of disclose more and more. And that's been a lesson in listening for me. Further, express empathy. Express empathy. Romans 12:15 tells us to rejoice with those who rejoice and to mourn with those who are mourning. If someone is sharing great news, your response should actually match their enthusiasm. Imagine something great happening in your life and your friends are not excited for you. Doesn't feel very good. On the other hand, if you're crushed and those in your group aren't feeling your sense of sadness, that's a pretty lonely feeling as well. Proverbs 27:14 is a little humorous. It says, if a man loudly blesses his neighbor in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. Remember in college days when your roommates were out a little too late, partying a little too hard, and then you'd go in with a cheerful voice in the morning? It was not a blessing to them, as you recall. Proverbs is on to you. Well, if someone is really sad when they share and your response is all enthusiasm and cheerfulness, guess what? That's not going to be a blessing either. Fifth, avoid interrupting or unnecessary words. If you're feeling that words are more helpful than your simple presence, try to follow a few guidelines. Wait until after they have completely shared before you say anything. Use your words to validate their feelings. Even if you disagree with some of their thinking or their judgments, you can validate their feelings. Just say it makes perfect sense that you feel that way. Use your words to show empathy. Say, I'm excited, or I really feel sad, or it makes me angry to hear this or that. Sixth, no quick fixes or easy answers allowed. Proverbs 25:20 says, like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on a wound, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. When I watch one Christian express tremendous amounts of heartache and another respond with a real cheerful, upbeat quote from Scripture of some kind, it just kills me. Don't sing songs to a heavy heart. When Christians do this, they come across like robots who don't have any real feelings for other people. Avoid the quick fixes, the easy answers, and the cheerful reminders of God's promises right after someone has a heaviness of heart. It's like salt in the wound, this proverb says. As we finish up this fourth session, I want to commend you for hanging with this. You know, you've got 4 weeks invested in this little community. And we've just been talking about opening up to each other and celebrating the highs and lows and rejoicing with those who rejoice and grieving with those who grieve. I've been a part of many groups throughout the 40 or more years that I've been a Christ follower. And there always comes a point where someone takes a risk with sharing a very high high or a very low low. And I don't know if that's happened yet in your group, but I hope that at some point it will. I hope that someone will just step forward and take that risk and say, here's what you need to know. Here's where I'm at this week. And in so many of the groups that I've been a part of, when one person stepped forward, that gave the opportunity for the whole rest of the group to rally around that person and to either celebrate with them or to empathize with them. In some cases, to kind of put their hand on the shoulder of that individual and say, we're with you in this, and we'll walk with you through this. And you can count on our prayers. You can count on our ongoing love as you go through this. You might be reaching that point where it's time to take one of those risks. And if God prompts you to do that, I hope and pray you will. So blessings, everybody. I'm proud of you for being on the journey, and I hope this will be a fantastic week for your group.